What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Angel here. Today I am with Mr. Joey. Joey, how you doing, man?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you with us. So y'all can see this beautiful beast right next to us. Beautiful R32. Talk to me about your car, man. How long have you had your car?
It'll be 4 years in March.
4 years in March. I'm sure this is not the way you got it, right?
No, not at all.
So talk to me a little bit about the transformation of the car. What was the state of the car, and what was the first thing you did to it?
So the state of the car originally was, it was bone stock, it was silver, it was on blown TN coilovers. Okay. The first thing I did, honestly, was just drive the piss out of it. I was just so excited to have it, so right. I did a lot of driving. I put an exhaust on it to obviously hear the engine. Primarily, I wanted to do a lot of cosmetic stuff first. Generally, in the past, I've always done engine stuff before the cosmetic stuff. Right. That's just how I've always done it, and I wanted to switch it up with this build specifically because of how much I admire the way it looks. Right. And actually, man, you have done a tremendous job on it. So once you already established you're gonna do cosmetic work, what was that first thing you did to it? First thing that had to be done was paint. Okay. There wasn't a lot to save that was there. It was silver, it was faded in a lot of areas, and it was probably resprayed from what I could tell. So luckily I have a very good friend who's in aircraft bodywork, so he does a lot of aircraft painting. He helped me with the paint aspect of it. I wanted to do something a little different with the body on this one. You know, previously I had cars, you know, that were a little bit more rare. I've tried to always kind of have those cars, and there's a lot of pressure from the community not to cut them up or mess with them in any kind of way. And I wanted to take a completely different avenue with this one. I didn't want to be afraid to cut into it. I didn't want to be, you know, afraid to do anything a little bit, you know, wild. Right. And walk me through the body of your car. So where did it start for you? What did you start in the front fenders, in the back? How do you determine, you know, okay, this is the size that I want, this is how much I want to cut? So I started with the rear because I started with 240s, and I've always loved the look of over fenders. Always have. So let's walk to it. Okay. So right here, what is it? I love how the gas door's always sunk in. I love the exposed rivets. I've always loved that look. So I wanted to do that with this one. So the first thing we did was got underneath it. I started cutting the fender up. Got to a point where I couldn't turn back, so I would just go ahead and do it. Found the fenders, which took a very long time to find the right ones. And even still, they needed a lot of modification to get right. They look impressive, man, and you're absolutely right. This look here with the gas tank, I mean, that looks pretty neat. I mean, what y'all think? Give us a comment. What you think about that? Okay, you did the back end of the car. Then where did it go from there? So when I put those on, I was a little less impressed with how wide it was. I wanted to go wider. So second to, you know, the riveted fender flares that I've always loved, or over fenders I've always loved. I've always loved the look of fender flares. Okay. So I wanted to add those in addition to that, and I really wanted to exaggerate the fact that it's rear wheel drive. So I wanted the rear to be much wider than the front is. Absolutely. So we put the over fenders on the rear, added the flares to that, and then did the same size flares up front. Wow, that looks really good, man. Okay. Talking about the size of the tires on the back, what size are these wheels? The wheels are 18 by 11.5 in the rear. 11.5. Yeah, look at this here. I think it's pretty big. They're -6 offset here. Fronts are 18 by 10.5 with 0 offset. 0 offset. Okay. But I did have to run a 15mm spacer to clear the brakes. Okay. So, you know, just to clear the brakes, just make sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can look at them. They're super close. Let's see. Oh yeah. It took a lot of measurement to get that. My goodness. So in the front end of the car, was it just these right here that you did, and nothing else to it? That's the only thing, right? That's right. Yeah, like I said before, I really wanted to exaggerate the fact that it was rear-wheel drive and give it a presence that the rear is wider than the front. So I left the original fenders on the front and cut those with the same size flares, so they're 50mm flares up front, 50mm in the back, but it's got the extra 50mm over fender on the back. That is awesome. Okay, now let's talk about the front of the car, because I'm really, most of the time when you see a Skyline or anything like that, the first thing that a lot of people look for is the intercooler. Yes. But you got something a little bit different. Talk to me about this. So there's no intercooler because it still has the side mount intercooler. I wanted the bash bar, I wanted the look of it, and I wanted to protect the future from an intercooler that would be there. But I've always liked that look. So second to that, the bumper on this one, I really wanted to change the presence of this. Most guys who have these cars, and they're not GTRs, and you've probably figured out this one isn't, they put the GTR front end on them, and I wanted to do something a little different. So this is an original GTST Type M bumper. It's an early year one, so it has a little bit of a different look than some of the other ones you'll see. But we just modified it, so you'll see a lot of cuts, you'll see a lot of holes that normally wouldn't be there, and I just wanted to kind of create a one-off bumper. Right, and very well done, man. I mean, it don't matter from what angle you look at the front of the car, that stands out, not in a bad way, but you know, in a positive way, and it looks really, really good. So the rear end, one more thing about the rear end of the car before we go inside of the car, your spoiler. Yes.
So talk to me about what makes you go, I mean, this thing is, look at this carbon fiber all the way across.
So I've always liked the look of that as well. I mean, primarily the car is built to be a track-ready street car, you know, and a lot of people say that, but I try to be as functional as possible with this, and I do take it to track days. In fact, if you look at the front end, you'll see rock chips, you'll see rubber everywhere. If it wasn't for me washing it this morning, there'd still be rubber all over it from this weekend. But I wanted something that was functional, aggressive, but still had that look that I really wanted. So naturally, I just went with a very large wing. And most functional wings for these chassis are at the roof line or higher. So this one's at the roof line at a zero angle. There. Yeah, zero angle.
Okay. Now moving on to can we go into the inside of the car?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
One thing that I do like about the car, and everybody's, well, I'm gonna sit down. Oh, these seats are comfortable. Let me get out and let me show you all the seats. Nice seats. So of course, one thing that everybody looks after the R32s is the bubble and everything. As y'all can see, no bubble in the dash, nowhere. Very, very well kept all the way around. So in the interior, what all have you done to the car, cosmetic wise?
Well, essentially I just took off everything that was there. You'll see little remnants of sticky stuff and you know, glue and these weird things that I've been finding everywhere. A lot of the guys in Japan, when you get these cars, they'll have multi-checkers, turbo timers, and electronic valve controllers, and all kinds of weird stuff like you know, Japanese radio systems and stuff like that. So I just got rid of all of it, and everything was in such good shape. You'll see, you know, minor imperfections like these holes where they had tweeters, which you'll find on a lot of the JDM cars. But essentially, I just wanted to remain fairly stock.
Right.
I wanted to keep it clean. Like I said, the goal was to be track-ready street car still, so a lot of the interior is still intact, minus the rear, which will be filled in later. I've got a rear seat delete, and that's all upholstered.
That is really cool, man. I mean, as you said, I mean, a lot of people do things to a car just for looks, but in reality, overall, you have not just look, but it's actually practical.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100% practical. Yeah. So one thing, can you please turn the car for us? Because I mean, you know, I've heard the car from the outside and everything, but I mean, this thing, it sounds really clean. It's got a nice little tone to it. You dropped the keys.
I dropped my keys.
Yay. Yay, we got him. Here you go.
Ready?
Go ahead. Clean idle.
No drama, no nothing.
So one of the things that you were talking to me, well, actually you spoke on earlier, that when you first got the car, you started working on fixing some of the existing issues. Yeah. And that was pretty much it when it comes to the engine, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it had a few small issues, like it had a fuel leak, it had a coolant leak, a couple misfires, a couple hoses that were loose, and a leaky power steering system. So more than anything, I just wanted to get it to a very drivable state.
Right.
So I fixed all those issues, and you know, when everything was running properly, I found that the engine runs so good, and it actually pulls plenty hard, that I wasn't going to tamper with anything until I was ready. And what I mean by that is having everything, you know, from exhaust manifold to intake manifold to front mounted cooler, just having all the pieces ready to go and designed properly, so I can just do one clean install, you know, with proper ECU, and then go in for a tune.
Awesome. And that's one of those things that, I mean, when you get a car, it don't necessarily have to be a Skyline. It could be a Honda. It could be whatever you want it to be. You know, you got to plan your process. You got to look at the final product, and you know, you got to have a vision and stick to it, because if not, you're not going to finish one or the other.
Yeah, and that came with a lot of projects that never finished and a lot of experience in that. Just buying stuff, putting it on, and then having to take it back off later just to put on something else that you bought later on, and I just don't want to do that again.
Right. I think that, you know, especially with a car like this, it is a pretty unique car, as y'all know, in the States. I personally will take my time just to make sure that step by step, you know, you get what you're after. Yeah,
and thoroughly researched and make sure you know you're making the right decisions with whatever you buy.
And I'll say, man, I mean, a lot of people kind of undermine the RB20s just because it's the smallest of the three.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're really solid. If you do well, enough research on it, they're very well put together, and they can actually handle some decent power.
Yeah, I love them to death. You know, for what I do, which is primarily, you know, time attack style track days or a lot of mountain runs, I'll do too. It does have no low end. I mean, that's you can't get rid of that in a 2-liter. But once it gets past that point, you get to 3,500 RPM or so, and it actually starts to pull. It just pulls all the way to redline, and it's just an extremely durable, well-running engine. I mean, I'm a fan of the RB20. I always have been.
And I've seen the way he drives. He'll post some videos on his Instagram, which you can follow him, man. What's your Instagram?
Joey.tillis. Okay. Very, very plain.
We're gonna put that in the description as well. But yeah, I've seen the way this man drives, and yeah, he has no mercy for the car.
No, that was the goal. You know, I want seat time. I want to have fun with it. I want to be able to beat the crap out of it and not have to worry about it.
Well, that is he doing very well. All right, let's step outside the car. Beautiful city of Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, man, well, I want to say thank you for coming out, showing us your car, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. We want to wish you luck with everything that you have planned going forward with the car. Man, it's very impressive cosmetically, the way it sounds. I mean, this thing is just a beast all the way around. So I want, again, thank you.
Yes,
good luck,
absolutely.
man.
Thank you.
And we know the only thing is, you know, for you keep moving forward, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everybody. So that's gonna be it for today's episode. So until next time, everybody, buckle up and keep tuning. Later.